Hello. So, with the passing of Neil Peart last week, which was announced on Friday, he apparently passed away on Tuesday. Brain cancer, which he'd been fighting for a few years, which we came to know on Friday. He kept that a secret from the general public, which makes sense, as you can see that he would want not to be bothered and to live his last few years in peace. So I just thought I'd make this video and talk a little bit about Rush and Neil Peart and what they've meant to me. So growing up, I knew of Rush. I knew the songs, the radio songs. Tom Sawyer, Time Stands Still, Spirit of Radio, that kind of stuff. But they never, I never became a hardcore fan at the time. Just enjoyed those songs as, in the same sense that I was enjoying Van Halen and other hard rock acts of the day. So that changed when I got invited to go to see them live for Test for Echo tour. A friend of mine offered me that he'd pay for half the ticket if I went with him. I thought, sure, Rush is cool. I'm sure that'd be fun. And that changed everything. Seeing them live, on that tour they performed 2112, the first side, in its entirety. And it was amazing to see. And I learned so much about their music and the band itself. And it was amazing. There was just three guys up there for what they were doing. So after that show, I just went out and picked up as much Rush as I could, vinyl and CD. At the time, vinyl was going really cheap, so I picked up a ton. Lots of records for a couple bucks each, which was awesome for me. It was pretty cool. So I got, just pretty much obsessed by them, and then it did seem like they kind of disappeared after that tour for a while. They came out with an album, I think, in 2002, which Vapor Trails would have been Vapor Trails, which I thought was cool. It's great. They're back. I didn't realize that there was a 5-year gap, and I didn't know what happened, and until I did hear about it a little bit, but then I read this book by Neil Peart, Ghost Rider, which has the whole story of how his daughter died, and then a year later his wife died, and just that whole story of him riding his motorcycle across the country and healing and disappearing, and how at the time the band didn't even know if they would continue as a band because this was such a traumatic thing. So to have them come back was pretty amazing, and to read that book, and then it seemed they had a real resurgence. I don't think it was too long after that they had the Lighted Stage documentary that came out, which was really amazing as well. Awesome. Really good for diehard fans, but even for new fans to see, and all the famous people who grew up listening to Rush that were talking about them in the film was really cool. So after that, I did get a chance to see them 2 more times. When they were recording, or before they released Clockwork Angels, they did a tour. I think it may have only been in Canada, but all they had released as far as new material at the time was just the 2 songs that were the first single off of Clockwork Angels. And but they performed all of Moving Pictures in its entirety for that show, plus a whole bunch of other amazing songs. Of course, it was another great show by them. And the last time I saw them was on the Clockwork Angels tour, and they had a mini orchestra with them, and Of course, for all of these shows, Neil was amazing. His drum kit was awesome to behold. Haven't seen that with too many other drummers, to be honest. That kind of setup and the ability to use it the way he did is just insane. So I feel glad that I did get to see them that time. I feel sad that he had to die at a young age, realistically young. 67 isn't necessarily that old, I'm 52, so, not that far off. So, but he did certainly have an effect on my music listening and my reading. I read quite a few of his books. After I read Ghostwriter, I read other books that he did, because he was also a great writer, aside from being a great musician. So I just wanted to put this out, say rest in peace, Neil, and I'm happy that you left us with so much to remember you by. So here's to you.